Social media and smartphones have infiltrated the lives of, well, all of us, but particularly young people. And while there are, of course, benefits, there are now some really serious concerns.
So just last month, the United States Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, voiced his concerns, citing the profound risk of harm it poses for adolescent mental health. To discuss, we're joined by former Facebook CEO Stephen Shearer. Stephen, good morning to you.
Hey, Stephen.
Good morning.
This was a really comprehensive and also confronting report, citing a dramatic increase in youth depression and suicide as well. What stood out to you about this report?
A couple of things. One is the Surgeon General doesn't make these sorts of statements commonly. It's something that happens every few years about a big public health issue. So, he has a voice that he doesn't use that often. I think the second is when you dig into what he said, he doesn't say that social media is necessarily bad. He just says two things have happened over the past 10, 15 years. One is social media use has increased, and two is teenage mental health has gone down. All the indicators are that we're in a crisis now. The question is, how are those two things connected? And what he's saying is we don't know enough now to say that social media is not one of the big causes of that. So we should take some precautions to make sure that as we do understand that better, we're protecting our kids.
So he's calling on everyone from government to tech companies to do more to tackle this issue. You've worked at places like Meta, which is, formerly Facebook. Are they actually doing anything to protect children over there, or are they just protecting their bottom line?
Well, let's be clear. These are companies, like any company, they're incentivized to make money. They've got rules and laws to work around, and they need guidelines as well. So, that's what businesses do. But that said, inside of Facebook, inside of big social media companies, there's no question that they're trying to, control the negative side effects of social media. There's two problems there, though. One is a lot of these negative side effects aren't well known. They're not well studied. We actually don't know what the effects are. Particularly teenage brains and kids' brains are very different than adult brains, and they're in a different developmental stage. The Surgeon General put it very well. He said these aren't just little adults, right? These are actually completely different types of creatures, right? They're not just small adults. And so a lot of that's just not known. So you've got the big tech companies trying to figure this out, but they don't know what they're trying to figure out either. So it's not that they're not well-intentioned, it's just that they don't know what they're trying to solve for. And the second problem is, of course, they do want people to be on their platforms more. They make money through advertising. So they do have a conflict of interest there. So it's hard to just ask them to control this. I think they need rules and regulations and guardrails around it.
I suppose there's an element of corporate governance here and accountability as well. Child exploitation is another problem for these social media platforms. Does a company like Facebook or Meta actually employ people to monitor for that kind of material? And if not, should they?
It does, it does. It has hundreds, if not thousands, of people that are working in those areas today. It uses AI in a big way to try to solve those problems. But because the platforms are so big, billions of pieces of content up every day, they don't catch everything. And AI can't catch everything, and human beings can't catch everything. And so there are still problems that's creep through, and that can still affect thousands and thousands of kids.
All right, so what are the signs that a young person out there might be affected by social media?
The signs are similar to anything you have as a parent, where you notice something about your kids that isn't quite right. So with social media, it's usually things like, they're tired, they're losing some of their social skills. They're not doing other things that they should be doing as a young, healthy kid, which is, engaging with their friends, exercise, getting good sleep. Those are early signs. Other things just about how they think about themselves as well. Now, that could be coming from social media, it could be coming from this peer group stuff that's being kind of amplified a little through social media. When I was a kid, there was no social media, but we still had problems with how we felt about ourselves as teenagers. But those are the early signs you should really be looking for.
All right. Very good to get your insights, Stephen Shearer. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Being a parent in today's social media world can be tricky. You want to share pictures of your kids' milestones and memories, but there is a lot to consider.
There is. So this month, the French government introduced laws banning parents from oversharing their children online. It's interesting, isn't it? A move now being considered in other countries. So let's bring in 9Honey parenting expert, Nicolina Carrufe. Nicolina, good morning to you.
Nick.
So it's called Sharenting. Can you explain what it is? Where's the line here?
Yeah, so sharenting is really where you're sharing content that involves your kids, so showing their faces within situations that aren't just your regular family photos. So this is things like, it could be, vlogs, it could be pranks, jokes that you play on your kids and it shows their funny reaction. But to a lot of people, it's really not funny, and it can actually have some really negative impacts on these kids as they grow older and within the moment as well. So they're finding this is having a negative impact, and as such, they're trying to control this in France, and it's a pretty big move.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? Because I just saw an article pop up online then, ironically, about the first... We are seeing the first generation of kids growing up under social media, and they're not happy. What are the negative impacts?
So there's a few negative impacts. First of all, it's a breach of privacy, isn't it? Because these kids don't have a say in what is actually being posted about them. There's also the issues of developing negative reputation. Everybody remembers Charlie bit my finger. Now, Charlie probably didn't like being known as Charlie bit my finger, but, you know, that was a choice that his parents made, putting that clip online, and it was shared everywhere. And, of course, there's long-term impacts to that. When these kids want to go for a job interview later and there's all these videos of them as kids and babies, you know, getting scared by their parents, or, you know, a funny video of them trying lemon for the first time, it's really not something that you want online. And we do teach our kids not to put everything online because it stays there forever, right?
That's right. Well, I guess, you know, we don't want to pass judgment here because this is all new territory. Everyone's doing their best. No one's trying to deliberately, you know, invade their child's privacy, I suppose. So what is best practice here? Where's the line that we should draw?
So I think the first thing is online you can have both public profiles and private profiles. If you choose to have a public profile and share your kids on a public profile, then you need to be wise in your decisions. You need to avoid pranks and jokes at their despair. Don't disclose their location when you're out and about. I think that's a safety issue, right? You need to also ensure, I always say, ask yourself the question, is this, what I'm doing to my child to get this content, is it degrading in any way, right? So ask yourself those questions and then just be responsible about what you share. Everybody wants to see great content with kids. They're cute, they're adorable,
they're the
and we
best
do
content.
love to share it.
They're actually amazing content, and if you can monetise them, do. Listen, you've got a new book out called My Mummy Loves Fudge, which is a great book, and thank you for bringing in copies for us as well. Tell us about this, because fudge is not what we think it is it?
Yeah, so fudge stands for the word that starts with F that we can't really say in front of our kids, but really do want to yell out here and there. You know, as mums, I think it's really your day-to-day activities with your child, which is all in the book there, you know, trying to get them to bed, stepping on Lego, all that stuff is really frustrating. And
throwing the spaghetti on the floor.
Driving.
Driving. So I wanted to write something for mums to really enjoy and laugh along to, and also babies to see themselves within the book and see themselves within these scenes. And it's just a great read for everybody.
It's great. Lovely illustrations too.
There is a lot of fudge in my house, let me tell you. Thank you, Nicolina.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon. And you can grab a copy of My Mummy Loves Fudge from booktopia.com.au.